Now we will present about the topic of relative clauses and others. First, let us introduce ourselves. My friend Niluh Krishna Andanda Daswari as the second presenter, and I'm Niputu Rasmayanti as the first presenter. In this material, we will explain about what is the definition of relative clauses and types of relative clauses. So without any further ado, let's get started. Definition of relative clauses. Relative clauses is one kind of dependent clause. It has subject and verb, but it can stand alone as a sentence. It is sometimes called an adjective. It gives more information about a noun. A relative clause always begins with a relative pronoun, which substitutes for a noun phrase, or a pronoun when sentences are combined. The second is kinds of relative clauses is relative pronoun. The first, pronoun who stand for people, use substitutes for subject nouns or pronouns. He, she, we, they. The second, pronoun is who, stand for people, use substitutes for subject nouns or pronoun. Him, her, us, them. The third, pronoun is whose, stand for people or things, use substitutes for possessive pronoun or nouns. His, hers, ours, theirs. The fourth pronoun is that, stand for people or things, can be used for either subject or object, can be used in restrictive relative clauses, and the last pronoun is which, stand for things, can be used for either subject or object, can be used in non-restrictive relative clauses, can be used in restrictive relative clauses, though some people don't like this use. For example, the first, relative pronoun as subject. I like the person was nice to me. I like the person who was nice to me. I hate the dog bit me. I hate the dog that bit me. I'm moving to Louisville, KY. It is home to the Muhammad Ali Museum. I'm moving to Louisville, KY, which is home to the Muhammad Ali Museum. The second one, relative pronoun as object. I like the bike. My father gave me the bike. I like the bike that my father gave me. Alright. The next material will be presented by my friend.
Assertive relative clause give information that define the noun information that necessary for complete identification of the noun. Use that or which is for non-human noun. Use that or who for human nouns. I like the painting. Which painting we can clearly identify them without the relative clause. So we add the clause. For the example is the painting hang in the SASB not lobby. I like the painting that hang in the SASB not lobby. I like the painting which is hang in the SASB not lobby. Noun is the object of the preposition. Both of the noun and the preposition move together to the front of the relative clause. In less formal English, it's a common to move only the pronoun to the front of the clause. For example is, I spent hours talking with a person last night. I hope to hear from her. I hope I hear from the person with whom I spent hours talking last night. More formal. I hope to hear from the person whom I spent hours talking with last night. Less formal. Number 4 is non-restrictive relative clause. Is a relative clause, also called an adjective clause, that adds non-essential information to a sentence. In other words, non-restrictive relative clause, also as known a non-defining relative clause, doesn't limit or restrict the noun or pronoun phrase it, the modify it. In contrast to relative clause, non-restrictive relative clause are usually marked by brief pause in speech and are usually set off by commas in writing. The next is example non-restrictive relative clause. The first is my mother, who is an excellent cook, is thinking of opening a restaurant. 2 is I'm planning to grow rose which find quite beautiful. 3. I'm driving across the country with 3 small children, which is going to be so stressful. The last is preposition in relative clause. The relative pronoun can also refer to the object of a preposition in formal style. The preposition comes after the verb. For example, number 1 is the house which Mozart was born in no a museum. Is a defining relative clause. Number 2 is the house that Mozart was born in is no museum, defining relative clause. Number 3 is Mr. Pierce, who I talked to just now, send you his regards, non-defining relative clause. In informal style, the preposition placed before the pronoun is whom or which. For the example is the house in which Mozart was born is now a museum, defining relative clause. Number 2 is Mr. Pierce, to whom I talked just now, send your regards, non-defining relative clause. Okay, that's all about the presentation of relative clause and other. Thank you for attention. I hope you understand what we are saying, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next video.